Okay, Frank, here's the boy from the other night. Couple of good things I want to point out before I get started on some of the analysis. He uh, he's got a really great follow through. Watch how he lands his front foot and his arm pronates at a really good angle, really good spot where it pronates, gives the arm time to slow down and protect the elbow. And he follows through across the body nice, and he lifts the leg with a nice flat back. And that's just a result of what's going on uh, from the front side. So the front side is going to be the brakes, and it's going to push power back up from the ground because you're using ground forces here, using ground forces here. Okay, but let me show you where there's some areas of great improvement where it can really see significant gains in velocity and power and control and just more dominant pitcher. Uh, so let's just start here from the beginning. So when he breaks his hands, how far off the line is he? One of the common factors in most high velocity guys is that they're able to get off the mound and they're able to get their head away from the mound, away from that line, a lot sooner in the delivery, and that gives them the momentum to get down the mound and then pick up that momentum and peak speeds into front foot plant. Because ultimately what you want to do is you want to use the ground forces from here and push as much power as you can, not all at once, of course. You want to hold a load in your leg, and then when you get to about this point here where the foot starts to open up to land, that's where you want to see a good acceleration of speed. So what I see with Shane is all the typical stuff that most kids his age do. Like they have a high center of gravity, so look at how high his center of gravity is here. You see this in his legs? So if we draw an angle here, he's going to have a pretty high center of gravity there for his body height. So we want to get him to get out faster. When he lands the front foot and he gets the weight down, this is where you measure hip and shoulder separation, and you can see his front shoulder is gone. So he's already started to rotate too soon. So he's still able to get by with some good velocity with his body size. But what's encouraging is that when he's able to actually use his body productively and efficiently, he's really going to throw a lot harder. There's going to be significant gains. So anyhow, at his age, it's hard to use the legs properly. So like I said when we were talking the other night, he's more of an upper body thrower. And here's the evidence, because you don't see much of a back leg flex here. So when there's not much of a back leg flex in the knee, then there's not much to extend. So he can't really drive off of that leg. He's just kind of falling down the mound and really overcompensating with the body, which is why this is where he wants to ramp up the forces. He wants to kind of ramp it up right here with the upper body, so he'll spin everything even before he's landed his front foot. So all the linear power from the stride, from the legs, from the body stretching, and the quads, the hamstrings, and the glutes, all getting put on stretch, and then snapping, and then transferring and converting that force into torque and hip and shoulder separation is not there yet. So you see how the hip will move and the shoulder will move at the same time. You see that the heel pops up. Those are all indications that there's no back leg drive, or very, very little back leg drive. And this is also an indication, the front knee there being directly over the ankle instead of the ankle being out more and the heel being out more, because the stride is short. When he learns how to power out of the back end more back here, he'll elongate that stride, and that knee won't be directly over the ankle. It'll be more in this kind of a position. So his knee would be here, and his foot would be out here. See, the more linear you are with your legs, the better the power and the forces from the ground will move up the kinetic chain, which is the ankle, the knee, the hip, and the shoulder, the elbow, and the wrist. That will all now move that power and convert it better when the angles of the legs are more linear. Okay, so you see how tall his back leg is too? So if I were to draw, when the front knee here passes the hip, which he does right about here, here's where the front knee passes the hip. Here's where you want to measure the leg angle. See how vertical he is? We want that leg angle to be somewhere near the hip so that he's actually lowering his center of gravity as he's driving down the mound. You can't really, once you're ready to now get that final burst right here where that acceleration happens, you can't get that acceleration if you're too vertical, because you're not going to be able to move horizontally if your knee and your ankle are lined up vertically. If you're going to move this way, then your leg has to be this way as well. So that's what our focus is going to be on for the next couple of weeks. We're going to work hard on lower body power and speed and conditioning, and watch in 10 weeks how he transforms into a better pitcher. Because once he figures out how to drive the body from the lower part first and separate the two phases, where you've got the lower phase, you've got the upper phase here, the rotational phase is up here. Once he's able to separate these two phases more distinctly, you're going to see a tremendous amount of velocity. Because you got to remember, the velocity is, once the legs are done, 80% of the velocity is going to come from the rotational upper body reacting to the lower body. Because the lower body is going to provide the early force, the initial force, and that's going to convert into torque, which is all up in here. And then it's going to thrust the upper body forward. Okay? So we don't change anything with the upper body because everything looks great. All we're going to do is work real hard on the lower body, keeping that front foot closed off. See how he opens it up too soon? It triggers hip rotation. It triggers everything to move too soon. We're going to work on staying closed off, keeping that foot here. And as he goes out, he's going to keep that foot here, and then he's going to turn it. We're going to get these force vectors more horizontal or more linear, so he can drive in a more horizontal way instead of being too vertical. All right, and I think within 10 weeks, depending on how hard he works, I think you'll see some big improvements. Okay. All right, I'll give you a video analysis just about every week. See how maybe just about every week. Okay.